a liver donor, and he founded the Organ Trail, spreading awareness about organ donation to prove that kidney donors can return to their previous level of activity and good health, functioning only on a single kidney, even if that includes vigorously sustained activities. He was recently awarded the Donor Hero Award, for the 2024 for Chris Klug Foundation. He is here with us to share donor and recipient stories from his journeys. Mark and Lynn. Okay, apparently this is in chat twice. And here's Mark to share motivating stories for donors and recipients. Thank you, Mark.
Is my presentation up there?
It is.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. And thank you to everyone present, especially our honored guests tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to briefly share a few stories of some of the people we've gotten to meet out on the Oregon Trail. I hope these stories inspire those looking to donate and help those looking for a living donor with methods and ideas to get their story out to the public. If nobody knows you need help, no one knows how to help you. There's wisdom in sharing your story. It's not advancing. That's not good. Can't get it to advance. Can't remember.
Can you hit escape and make sure your slides are all there?
Well, I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay.
And try again. There we go. Did it advance?
Not yet, but you got a better, there you go. You're
okay. So a little technical difficulty, but we're going to go on now. So this is the review of our last Oregon Trail ride. We call it TOT 5.0, which we just did in June. And this ride started in our hometown of Plover, Wisconsin. And you see my cursor there. We rode down to UW Health in Madison, Wisconsin, where we had an event with them. That's where Lynn and I both donated, and Restoring Hope Transplant House in Madison. From there, I rode the bike with some friends. Lynn was the support vehicle to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to Freighter Hospital. We had an event there. They do kidney transplants, among other things. And then we stopped at a little town called Kenosha, and there we met with the Fresenius Dialysis Center. And what we started doing on our previous ride, and we did on 3 rides on this ride, was we met with people at the transplant center, staff and clients, to talk about living donation. The staff was very appreciative of us coming in and talking about how people can donate a kidney, and of course, people there that are looking for a kidney were interested in our story. We then rode bike down the Lake Michigan to Chicago, where we met at the Bean, which is kind of a kidney donor landmark. TV station there picked up our story, so we got some information out to people in the Chicago area about the Oregon Trail and the need for living kidney and liver and donation in general. And then we went to Rockford, where we met some of our really good friends, Tim and Linda Mullen. They've been friends of ours for 30 years. Tim and Linda both donated this summer through the UW Health kidney donors themselves. We met and had an event at Swedish American, which is a branch of UW Health there. Then we entered Iowa down through Davenport and up through Iowa. We had the opportunity to meet with an OPO there that did a combined event with NASCAR driver Joey Gacy. Joey Gase, I believe his name is pronounced. And his mother was a living donor at age 18. He signed the paperwork so his mother could become a deceased donor. And through NASCAR now, he also creates awareness on the circuit. Went up to Mayo Clinic, where We had a great event, rode with some of their transplant surgeons. When I mean rode, they rode with us on our bike. We got to talk with them, meet with them. They had three TV stations, or three TV stations there, and a newspaper from the Minneapolis area. So that was a great event. And then on up to Minneapolis, where we met with Lynn's voucher recipient, Cooper, and also a young lady named Allie Hansen. Allie Hansen had donated non-directed, and her kidney was in the pool of 103 transplant centers all across the United States. And wouldn't you know, she was the best match for Cooper. She only lived a few miles from them. They did not know each other. That's just how it works out sometimes. And then we rode back to Plover, Wisconsin. So just a little overview of the Oregon Trail. This last ride was designed to highlight Lynn's voucher donation. Lynn's kidney went to somebody in Illinois, and her voucher recipient was Cooper in Minneapolis. Ride covered 4 states: Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota. A little under 1,300 miles on bicycle, 22 days. One day during the ride, we were guest speakers at the Mayo Rochester Clinic Solid Organ Transplant Nursing Conference. It was a continuing nurse education. We ended up speaking with them. And then for the ride, we had 28 different media interviews, or events, we call them. TV, radio, newspaper, podcast, whatever. On the total of the Oregon Trail, which has been going about 3 years, we've done 5 rides, hence the TOT 5.0. We've covered 21 states. I've ridden over 8,000 miles on my bike with one kidney, and we've done approximately 250, 275 interviews to create awareness. Now, tonight, we're going to talk about different people that I've highlighted and their stories. The first one is my wife, Lynn. So although she's not here right now, you're going to get to meet her. So Lynn and I live in Plover, Wisconsin, as I mentioned. Lynn donated in January of 2023 at UW Health, like I mentioned, using the NKR voucher program. So a 2-year-old Cooper could get a kidney. This is Cooper on the right. That's on the set of Today Show, which we were on in New York City in April of 2023. Lynn learned about the kidney crisis by my research when I was trying to figure out how to become a living kidney donor. She learned enough to start to think, why aren't I looking into this? And so she did. She was evaluated and was found healthy enough to become a donor herself. Lynn's quoted as saying, "I would donate a kidney again in a heartbeat if I could." Next, I want to talk about a living kidney donor named Emily Wise. Emily lives in Weston, Wisconsin with her husband and daughter. She donated at Aurora St. Luke's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, November of 2018. She used a paired exchange. Emily saw a Facebook post of a man at a Milwaukee Brewers baseball game who was wearing a Share Your Spare t-shirt with a phone number on it. So a friend's Facebook post, Emily called the phone number from that picture. It was a guy named Lenny Zweig. He ended up getting a kidney through the paired exchange when Emily donated. Emily is quoted as saying, "It was the best decision I've ever made. I'd donate another kidney in a heartbeat if I had another to give." Emily had a baby after donation, and she named her baby Lenny Lou. Her paired exchange recipient was Lenny Zweig. Emily is a former 2nd grade school teacher, former because now she works full-time with the National Kidney Donation Organization as a full-time mentor to potential living kidney donors. Next, I want to talk about living kidney donor Jody Cowens. Jody lives in Hull, Massachusetts, which is south of Boston. She donated at Brigham Women's in Boston in February of 2024, so not that long ago. Jody gave the National Kidney Registry vouchers to family members if they should ever need a kidney. Jody saw the Oregon Trail on the Today Show segment in April of 2023, and she said she got up from the couch and started researching immediately how to become a living donor. Jody is quoted as saying, "It was an amazing process, and I wish I had more kidneys to give. Not sure about the liver yet, but still considering it." Next, I want to talk about Elaine Perlman. Elaine lives in New York City and donated at New York Langoon, January of 2020. That's Elaine on the left with our son Nick behind her and my niece behind Nick, Shanice, and that's out on the plaza at the Today Show. On the right, you can see Elaine walking around the subways of New York City with that placard on. She'll talk to anybody about kidney donation. Elaine donated non-directed via the NKR and used the family voucher program. Elaine's son had donated 6 months before she did. He was inspired by a person named Dylan Matthews, who was inspired by Josh Morrison, who at the time was Elaine's boss. Elaine's quote, "Kidney donation provides me with endless joy that I could donate a healthy part of myself to save the life of someone I do not know. Kidney donation is time-consuming, painful, and stressful work that I would do every year if I could to reduce suffering." Next, I want to speak about living kidney recipient Matt Shane. Matt lives in Waco, Texas, and was diagnosed with Alport syndrome, which is a chronic kidney disease. Matt is on the left picture. He's on the far right with kind of the mustache and the beard thing. I'm in the middle, and one of his direct donors, his second direct donor, is there as well, Todd Munson. Matt used both hemodialysis and peritoneal dialysis for a total of about 9 months. Unbeknown to Matt, his second living direct donor, Todd, started the process of seeing if he was a match for him. Matt started his campaign to find a donor in September of 2022, and Todd revealed to him that he was a match by January of 2023. Todd and Matt used Baylor, Scott, and White, All Saints in Fort Worth, Texas. Matt's surgery date was May of 2023. For his current transplant from Todd and for Matt's first transplant, which came from a family member, his mindset was to seek first out family members and friends. Matt's wife created a Facebook page of his journey and a search for a kidney. It wasn't long after beginning a search for both of his transplant that his nephew and Fred Todd came forward to say that they would donate and were matches. Matt's quote, "As of this moment, I'm feeling great. My health is great. My energy and strength has returned. I'm back to doing what I enjoy with little limitations. I create my own limitations so I don't compromise myself and my health." And on the right is a picture of Todd helping Matt up a hill that we were on a bike ride together last August, just a few months after Matt's transplant, actually. So Todd was there to help him as he was to be a donor. Living kidney recipient Ellis Mirsky. Ellis lives in Annett, New York, 20 miles north of New York City. Ellis had PKD, an inherited disease that his father had and died from at age 91. Ellis did not undergo dialysis. He was lucky enough to find a direct living kidney donor in time. It took Ellis 3 months to find a living donor. Ellis had transplant surgery at New York Presbyterian in New York City in July of 2017, 7 years and 2 months ago. Ellis received a direct donation with a side-by-side operating room. When Ellis learned he needed a kidney transplant or would have to go on dialysis, he adjusted everything in his life to assure that finding a living kidney donor was his first priority. He put everything else aside, devoted every waking hour to find a living kidney donor. He made a website, posted Facebook posts driving traffic to the website, and urged viewers to share his Facebook post. A small ask as compared to the big ask of, "I need your kidney." He got 1,100 shares and 20,000 page views with 5 volunteers. The first 3 that offered their kidneys were medically disqualified, and the 4th became his living kidney donor. The 5th went on to become a non-directed donor for someone else. Ellis feels terrific and is so grateful. As a result of benefiting so greatly and becoming aware of the need for living kidney donors, he became active in promoting living kidney donation. He set up more than 35 websites for others, coached more than 100 patients through the process with tremendous success, and serves as the National Kidney Donation Organization's board and is its legal counsel. Ellis says that education about the process is critical, and is finding a mentor or advocate to help the patient navigate the system. When asking for a living kidney, a compelling story demonstrating the good that the patient has done in their life and the good that they will do in the future is needed. Next, I want to speak about Debbie and Chuck Weiner. Debbie and Chuck Weiner live in Newton, Massachusetts, a suburb close to Boston. Chuck's kidney failure was due to a long, slow, progressive effect of exposure to Agent Orange in Vietnam in 1970. Chuck needed dialysis and opted for in-center treatment and prepared for about 2 years to create the fistula necessary to receive treatment. Chuck was on dialysis for 7 months. Chuck's kidney search was about 4 years, managed primarily by Chuck's wife, Debbie, and support from Ellis Mirsky, who I just highlighted. Chuck's surgery was at Brigham and Women's Transplant Center, Boston. The donor surgery was the same day in the Bronx, New Jersey, and the kidney was transported to Boston. Transplant was a paired exchange on March 2022. Debbie relates that it was overwhelming as Chuck's caregiver to have to mount a marketing campaign to save his life. There was little support or guidance. Every day, vigilance was required. Follow every lead. Get your story out in the public. We had a website, Facebook page, Instagram, podcast, TV appearance on Veterans Day, highway billboards, local magazines, and newspaper articles, public service announcements on local flyers, on local radio, flyers that we posted in local businesses, and lawn signs all around our town. It was all hard and there were many roadblocks. You have to keep opening doors. Currently, Chuck and Debbie are 1.5 years out of transplant, and Chuck says, I feel wonderful and blessed. As a veteran, I was very fortunate that my wife found a new organization called DOVE, D-O-V-E, Donor Outreach for Veterans. We enlisted their help. Their mission is to find living donors for military veterans. It took them a few years to find and arrange a good match. Any veteran out there who needs a transplant should reach out to them. Debbie says, Dove saved his life. Here's information for Dove Transplant. Share it with other people. You never know who might be able to benefit from this. This is also Chuck's website, kidneyforchuck.com. It's still active. If you want to go there and kind of scoop out their website, see what they've done, it's available. Next, I want to talk about Carolyn Goldinger. Carolyn lives in Acme, Pennsylvania. She donated a kidney in Allegheny General Hospital in March of 2022 using the NKR voucher program. 3 things happened to nudge Caroline. A sign on the side of the road that said, please help my son. He needs a kidney. She drove by it every day going to work, but she never did anything. Luckily, somebody did, as you can tell from the sign that says thank you. Close to this same time, she had her friend Jeff, who's pictured up at the left with Lynn and I and Caroline. Jeff was on the Oregon Trail bike ride with us, and he shared photos after the trip with Caroline. Third, a friend at her church needed a kidney, and Carolyn thought, I can do that. Quote, organ donation makes sense because our incredible bodies were created for sharing. What a thrill to be able to share my spare. Next, somebody near and dear to me, Hugh Smith. Hugh lived in Natchitoches, Louisiana when we met. Now he lives in Bossier, Louisiana. Hugh's kidneys failed due to overuse of ibuprofen when he raced horses as a jockey. Hugh had his NKR voucher transplant at University Medical Center in Jackson, Mississippi in February of 2021. His kidney came from a stranger that lived in Southern California. He was on the transplant list for 9 months and was on peritoneal dialysis 1.5 years before he received his kidney. As Hugh's voucher donor, I can't stress enough how important the NKR voucher program is to not only have allowed me to donate my kidney to someone over 1,000 miles away from me, but to know that my kidney went to the best match possible and that Hugh got the best match possible. Think about this. A guy from Wisconsin meets a person in Louisiana in a bar who needs a kidney. The best match for the Wisconsin donor kidney was a person in New York, and the best match kidney for the guy in Louisiana came from Southern California. There are no limitations concerning time, distance, or matching using the NKR voucher program. Hugh's quote, my new kidneys are fantastic. 3.5 years later, and I'm getting married next weekend. That's right, next weekend. I went from connecting every night for 10 hours to a machine to meeting my future wife and getting married in 4 years. That's fantastic. Next, I want to speak about Jody Lang. Jody Lang's living kidney donor. Jody lives in Mounds View, Minnesota, and had her donation surgery at UW Health Madison in August of 2009. It was a directed donation to a good friend that Jody knew in high school who had PKD. Kathy had been sick for a few years and eventually needed a kidney transplant. She was frustrated, worried, sick, and donor options weren't matching. Jody told her she'd get tested and she'd be a match. Jody did, and she was, and she donated to Kathy. Quote, I feel good that I was able to help my friend, yet the challenge of people needing kidneys continues. We need to keep building awareness of spreading the word about the ease of looking into kidney donation. Jody was a major inspiration to me 12 years after her donation. That allowed me to tell Hugh that he could have one of mine. Next is Allison Snordheim. Allison lives in Auburndale, Wisconsin, with her husband, daughter, 2 sons, and a dog. Excuse me, son and 2 dogs. Got that backwards. When Allison was 15 weeks pregnant with her second child, she went into full spontaneous kidney failure from anti-GBM becoming active. Anti-glomerular basement membrane disease is a rare disorder that can quickly worsen, causing kidney failure and lung disease. Allison had 2 stints of dialysis lasting 4.5 years in total. Allison first started looking for a kidney in October of 2019, receiving a kidney September of 2020. She was then relisted in October of 2021 and got a new kidney was found in November of 2023. Both were paired exchanges. Allison had her transplants at Mayo Clinic Rochester. Allison used social media, word of mouth, and help from medical professionals to get her story out. Quote, because of my first transplant experience, I live every day in fear of another kidney rejection. I have 2 young children at home that need me, and if my kidneys fail again, I probably will not be given another chance at another transplant. I am slowly working toward building up my strength again, which is a long process. Not going to lie, finding a living donor is extremely difficult unless you have a family member that is willing to help. I had a family willing to get tested to be donors, but unfortunately, none of them were matches for me. To find a direct donor that is not family felt next to impossible to me. Do not give up. There's someone out there for everyone. We just need to wait our turn. Lastly, Jennifer Alpert. Jennifer donated her kidney in Houston, Texas at St. Luke's in June of 2021. It was a direct donation to a young woman who Jennifer heard on her radio station asking for a kidney, a complete stranger. Jennifer's son, Cade, received a liver at age 1. She always wanted to give back. Cade is now in college and doing great. The Cade R. Alpert Foundation for Pediatric Liver Disease was founded by Jennifer and Scott Alpert in 2003, when their son Cade underwent a life-saving liver transplant at age 1. The foundation raises money for pediatric liver research and education and awareness for organ donation. Jennifer's quote, I feel totally normal, like before I donated my kidney. And she was on that bike ride with us, and she's a very strong biker. She did that after she donated her kidney. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
That was incredible, Mark. I was busy for the last couple of seconds texting Bobby to stop timing, let Mark finish, but you stopped short of red. So thank you so much. This was absolutely amazing. I'm sorry that my story wasn't up there, but Ellis, whose story was, saved my life. And when I found out that I had needed a kidney, I put a post on Facebook saying help, and my best friend was colleagues with him in law school and put me in touch with Ellis immediately. And the same process that Ellis used with creating a website to find his, which was kidneyforellis.com, created kidneyforlisa.com. And in fact, he created 35 websites. 27 of us got kidneys, 25 of us got living donor kidneys. And he's amazing. We're in touch all the time. And thank you so much for sharing Ellis's story. That was an amazing speech, Mark, and I think it's the foundation for your next book. So thank you. Yeah, really great. And next we'd like to introduce Anita, and who is